Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Theology in the Raw. I'm here with a new friend, Street Hymns, famed battle rapper. We're going to get into what that even is because I think my audience is like, did I hear that wrong? I don't know what that is, battle rap. I'm sure some of my audience is like, oh, finally you got a battle rapper on the show. But Street, thanks so much for being on Theology in the Raw for the first time, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I love talking theology and I love talking battle rap.
So, awesome. Yeah, I love talking theology, man. I'm brand new to the battle rap. I didn't know it existed until 6 months ago when I first heard you speak. So I'm excited to get to know more about you and your ministry. But why don't we start with you? Just who are you, man? What's your background, and then how did you get into battle rap? And tell us a bit, and then you can tell us a bit more about what that even is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my name is Street Hymns. I'm an artist, musician, battle rapper. I just love creating things. I love pushing the envelope and I love provoking thought. And as far as battle rap goes, that's like the perfect platform for all of those things in one for me. Um, I graduated with my biblical studies degree in theology at Dallas Baptist University. So there's some level of scholarship. People keep pushing me to do seminary.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. I'll never say no because usually when I say no to things, the Lord has a funny way of putting it down. Right, of having to do it. But I'm definitely just interested in continuing to further my knowledge, not just in theology but philosophy, ethics, morality.
Hmm.
So I love information. I love knowledge.
Hmm.
So when it came to the battle rap field, there is a lot of ideologies, religiosity, and just a lot of things that people express through the form of hip hop. And so that has been actually the culture of hip hop from the beginning. It's a form and art form of expression, and mostly expressive out of struggle and oppression and also just joy, finding joy in the midst of, etc. So a lot of battle rap is portrayed as and expressed as a violent culture. And from a lyrical stance, I could definitely see that for sure because a lot of what is said is vulgar and violent. But when you look at the culture and actually are involved in the culture and actually immersed in it, you actually see that it's really steeped in camaraderie, love, and entertainment.
Hmm.
So I've been doing battle rap for the last 6 years plus, and I found a culture that has not only embraced me, but one that I have grown very fond of in heart and in deed. So yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
so let's back up for a second. For somebody who doesn't have the foggiest category for what battle rap is, can you bring it all the way down? We're talking first grade, kindergarten level.
Like,
Explain to us what should we even be picturing when you talk about battle rap?
so imagine it's almost lyrical boxing. So you have two opponents getting on stage with an audience there, typically, and without a beat, um, they're literally with most of the time prep material, like who you're battling beforehand most of
Okay.
the time, and you prepare for that person. And so what you do is your goal is essentially to either highlight yourself in such a way or break them down in such a way that you win over the crowd or win over the audience or win in your own sense as well. Um, there's typically not a judge, so it's not like a man who they determine who wins the battle at the end. It's really just like jury of your peers, like whoever you feel like
Yeah.
won typically. But it's mostly done, like I said, in a vulgar sense, to where
Yeah.
a lot of the content's about guns, violence, how I'm gonna break you down, how I'm gonna shoot you, how I'm gonna kill you, and
Huh.
in a lot of sense, it is metaphorical, it is lyrical, but you do so in such a entertaining way that that is what brought the attention to the culture. It is a subculture of the main genre of hip hop, but it is definitely a vast culture.
Uh-huh.
Especially this last year, it's taken its greatest leaps and bounds to become mainstream. A lot of cosigns like people like Drake,
Hmm.
CeeLo Green, And a lot of athletes are literally starting to promote battle rap in ways that's never been before, and it's definitely put it in a highlight to now. It's like it is mainstream. Yeah.
And it's. I mean, be patient with my terminology, man, because I might say, is it? I don't need to freestyle is the right term, but is it? It's not like it's like you come with your script, they come with theirs. Like it's on the fly. Like you're in the moment. They say something.
Most of the times it's pre-written, so we know who we're battling beforehand, and then so I could see why. So the clip you saw that I had, the guy something, and then I rebutted.
Yeah.
Directly to what he said, and because of that, it makes it seem like all of what I do is freestyle. But typically, you want to rebuttal something that you either catch on the fly, like, oh, I could respond to that,
okay,
or they said something so amazing that it's like, man, I want to take away the sting of that by directly associating what they just said, but flipping it against them, or flipping it to my benefit, or flipping it so that the crowd can understand, like, oh, that really wasn't as powerful to say, or that's not even as true as they say.
Yeah.
So there are freestyle elements, but 95% of my material is typically already written. I have room for freestyle, but it's mostly all written beforehand.
So you're studying the guy you're battling ahead of time, so you know kind of what he's gonna say, where he's gonna go, and everything. You kind of get it. It's kind of like a debate almost, right? Was it a blend between like a debate and rap?
Oh, absolutely. Now, typically, it's not as intellectual as you may think it may be, in the aspect of coming with material that is set forth for the purpose of a debate or inquiring minds. It's really just for entertainment. But, for example, my last battle, which I actually just did, I was battling somebody who is from the camp of, and there's not an actual specific term for it, but just more so African spirituality, someone who left the church. A woman, so she's no longer Christian. She follows, the teachings of ancient Egypt, Kemet, and a lot of honoring and admonishing of the ancestors, spiritual concepts, mysticisms of the culture, kind of getting back to what they call the roots of what our quote unquote ancestors believed. So my rounds were compiled of previous, without exaggeration, over 80 plus hours of research.
Oh my gosh.
So in the 3-minute rounds that I compiled, I not only studied for 80 plus hours of the material, but that also included my second round. What I did was I addressed the concept that is Christianity a white man's religion? Yeah. And then when I did so, I involved the crowd. And it was actually pretty creative. I'll send you the clip. I'll send you actually the video.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Not out yet, but I'll send you the video. A little preview. But what's crazy is when I did that, within there, I put in the in the round, I basically was like, I said, now this is scholarly material. Not everyone has time for courses, and will always call a line facts until it's time to sort it. So do me a favor. On social media, search Street Hymns. You'll be quite rewarded. There'll be a file in my BioLink site. Export it. It's called Battle Rap Facts. I challenge you. Try to thwart it. In it, I recorded everything that I reported from this battle with the cited sources. I'm trying to fight endorsements. You know what I'm saying? So, like, basically, like, within that battle, I actually created a document and PowerPoint that has all of the cited sources from everything I said in the battle. So it's like people are able to reference back what I said and then go and research it themselves, so that they not only just have something like, oh, that sounds cool. It's like, no. It doesn't just sound cool. It's actually facts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can actually go and look this up. So I put a lot of work in it so that the crowd could be benefited from what I said within my second and third round, which were like my most impactful rounds for that battle. There's been other times I battled atheists, and I put 40 hours of research in that battle, just watching atheist versus Christian debates, just in case he says this, I want to say this, just in case he says this, I want to say this. I've battled Muslims. I've battled, it's all types of different camps, belief systems, ideologies, philosophies. And then I've just battled people that just want to battle in a lyrical stance. So it's like me just to I can talk about anime and nerd bars, you know what I'm saying? So I can, be myself, but sometimes there are the times where you have to, get my scholarly bag. But it really just depends on the opponent.
So you have obviously like an apologetic thread to kind of what you do. Is that typical in battle rap, or is that something unique that you bring to it?
So battle rap. Okay. So what I don't want to confuse people is that battle rap is a Christian sport.
No, yeah,
it's not. We as Christians have infiltrated battle rap. So it's myself, people on my team. I'm part of a team called the Horsemen, specifically the Four Horsemen. We started. It's myself, A Ward, Loso, the Saga, and the newest member, Oops. And so we are a team of Christians, that go into the battle rap field and, in a sense, yes, present a form of an apologetic, making a defense, an apology for the gospel, what the scriptures will call the hope that is in us. Mm-hmm. So, yes, there are times when they come for the faith. And so because they come for the faith, we got to make a defense for that. We have to uphold and stand firm on what we claim to believe, as they're attacking it in a lyrical way. And I can confidently say within the culture right now, to mention battle rap and not mention, if not myself, my team members and our team, you're doing battle rap injustice, because we have literally infiltrated in the sense that we have now been highlighted in a way that, like, they recognize us as one of the best teams in battle rap.
So I want to give my audience just I want to tease that out a little bit. So battle rap, pretty rare to have a Christian in it, and then but you guys come in and let's just don't worry about not being humble. Like, just set aside right now. I just want to, because I want people to get an understanding. Like what you just said. Like, you're very well known in the battle rap scene. Battle rap is becoming a very big kind of subculture. So can you is there anything just to tangibly give us a picture of your influence, like followers on TikTok or views or anything? Or, because I mean, I was blown away at how many people are encountering the gospel in a really creative, intellectually responsible way through your ministry.
Yeah, so I mean, if we were to sit here and count the millions of views, like, I have battles that have reached, up to 400,000 for a battle. People on my team have reached 1 million, and it's really one of those things where, like I say, like, the battle rap culture not like, it's not just something where, oh yeah, those Christians. It's like, no, yeah, they're here. Yeah. They're here to stay. They're actually making an impact within the biggest league of battle rap. Our guy Loso, who's kind of like taking like the forefront in representing in that league, because it's different leagues depending on what city or state you're in.
Oh, okay.
He's literally like the highlight member of what is now called the Caffeine app, which is a form of Twitch. Like, it's kind of like Twitch. It's a streaming app, and battle rap is now taking the forefront of the Caffeine app. And Loso has his own show there. He's highlighted. He just did a battle hosted by Drake there.
Wow.
It's literally to the point where if you're mentioning a big card or a major card, you're going to have to include us.
Wow.
Like, literally, because not just in the stance of like, oh yeah, like, because they're good. It's like, no. The people want to see us.
Wow.
Like, they being in high demand. And so because it's in high demand, there is a requirement to give the people what they want. They want to see us, whether they want to see us lose or want to see us win, they want to see us, So with that said, it's been a blessing to be a part of what has been literally the foundation of trailblazing, to where now it wasn't supposed to start with us. So it's not going to end with us. There's other Christians now coming behind us and, going along the same thread. And we're just here to support them and help them grow so that they can be prepared for, the culture that is definitely having an uprise right now.
How long has it been around? Like, if you can give a snapshot of the history of battle rap? I mean, is it 5-10 years or?
So the concept of battling has been around since hip hop. I don't know if you remember. So my dad actually used to battle rap. So my dad actually battle rapped Will Smith, the Fresh Prince.
What?
And back then it was about having a DJ, and then you have an MC. And then the DJ and the MC will go against another DJ and MC. And then whoever got the most crowd reaction, whoever did the free. And then back then it was pure freestyle. You had to captivate the crowd. That's what it means. The MC means move the crowd. Whoever moved the crowd better, whoever got a bigger uprisal, whoever got a bigger reaction, winner. And so that definitely played a part in the aspect of the DJ and the lyricist. My dad actually admits he lost that battle. But uncle. Like they used to go in different clubs and stuff like that. So battle rap has actually been part of hip hop's core because battling, the form
Right.
of competition, has been there since, in the same way b-boying has been there. So like you'd have two different break dancers, they would battle, they would do things, they would highlight their skills and their talents. And so like the same thing followed the same thread when it came to battle rap. It used to be more along the lines of on a beat instrumentation, but now it's more a cappella rather than
Okay.
but there's still some people who also do the instrumentation aspect where there is a beat going behind you and somebody's rapping. So yes, it's been around since the beginning of hip hop.
And so it's just had a kind of an evolution. And so like, I would imagine since social media has been really huge in the last 10 years, that's probably really thrown gasoline on the fire of it. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, like I said, there's mainstream. It's funny because the mockeries of it really helped it as well. So if anybody who remembers like some of the biggest social media guys when social media was really kind of taking its fruition in the beginning, there's a guy named Super Hot Fire. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember Super Hot Fire. He was like, "You got the wrong number." You know what I'm saying? And then you had the big guy. And it's like, and then Kevin Hart battled the guy too. And they were making fun of battle rap. It's like, oh, people give these big reactions, but through that, it actually brought more attention to battle rap. And so like those videos were some of the most viewed quote unquote battles, even though they were fake. So it's always had its levels of, oh snap, this could be big, this could be big, this could be big, but it's not something that could be household because it's not really family friendly in a sense.
Yeah.
And so couldn't get along and on board with it the way that you think it would be, because it is very vulgar and can be sensitive to the average household.
Yeah.
But there are battlers who are household names. And those typically are the ones who were a lot of the trailblazers and trendsetters within the culture for sure.
Okay. You said there's a lot of kind of violent imagery. Do fights ever break out? I can imagine the emotions, the heat gets intense, or not? Not really. Is that pretty rare?
Yeah, that's
probably frowned upon, right? I mean, if the guy took a swing or something. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's if you really, you'll probably see that happening as much as in real life wrestlers actually fight outside of the ring.
Okay.
The aspect of like it's truly an entertainment.
Yeah.
The fact you can literally see somebody do something as extreme as laughing at somebody's little brother who is crippled and say, "I'll kick his wheelchair down the stairway,"
Wow.
and then see them dap it up afterwards, up until the point where seeing somebody spit on somebody's grandmother's obituary, a picture. It's like, man, like, and then afterwards they're able to have a civil conversation or at least be in the same place and not be, static. It's like, now, obviously those are very much extremes, but there's things that happen. It's like, man, like you're really, really going too far.
Okay.
But like, man, like that's what you're willing to do for clout. That's what you're willing to do to go
Yeah.
viral. So people do things to the extremes, but man, even in those extremes, those people are they nobody really respects them to the same extent. But at the end of the day, it's like you're not in harm's way.
Yeah.
Now it could go there.
Yeah.
But the fact that it hasn't gone there just shows you that, yeah, man, like, hey, this is all entertainment. Like,
Yeah.
You see me at the next event because we're in the same league or we're like we claim to be friends and stuff like that. So it really doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
And even when it goes that way per se, there is a still level of camaraderie because you understand, like, a lot of people just kind of say it's battle rap. Now, of course, there hasn't been a direct, hey, this is the line, don't cross it. There's never been that conversation within the culture, but it's really just something like, hey, if you say something, just know every man has to account for the words he said. So if you want to go as far as you want, know that, okay, cool. We might have to be in the same room. We might have to be in the same restaurant. We might have to be in the same, so I might have to have a conversation with you afterwards. Now, as the Christians, we don't have this problem. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't cross any of those lines. Like, there's no need to. There's no desire to. I always tell somebody, I'm never going to say something to you on this stage that I wouldn't say to you off the stage. Level of integrity that we have to portray. It's like, I'm not going to get up here and start a show just to get likes, just to get a reaction, just to get views, it's like, no. Like, when you're understanding my heart in this, which is a ministry, I'm representing not just myself, I'm representing a whole entire community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is the church.
Yeah.
And so I have to have a kingdom mindset, understanding that, yes, what I say may cut, because the sword it's a double-edged sword. But it's also meant to heal as well. It's a surgical tool. So yeah.
That clip that I saw that you referenced, can you summarize that that comeback you had? Like tell our audience who, and they can Google or whatever, but that was just so brilliant.
So I battled a guy named Asylum the Crow. And within his round, so he calls himself God. His name is that his mother named him Lord, actually.
Lord.
And so like he refers to himself as Lord, kind of along the same aspects of like African spirituality. You know, like we are gods. We are because we are like the gods, as they would say in the scriptures. Doesn't your Bible say we are like the gods? Stuff like that. So like they claim to be deity and have a form of deity that is like, yo, like y'all should be, admonishing me. It's like, and so he was basically saying like, yo, you should be admonishing me. I'm God. I'm your God. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like this. And I was like, okay, interesting. And in my third round, I broke down that entire thing, like the dichotomy of calling yourself God. It's like, yes, do you understand who the Most High is? I don't care who you're calling yourself, but understand there's the Most High God, like the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. So whatever status you want to put yourself up, it's not comparison. You know what I'm saying? So when he was saying these things, he actually slipped up in his round, and he was like what we call choking. He messed up in a way that was like, oh man. And he's like, he starts stumbling. He's like, man, as he's messing up, he's like, God damn.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my round, I started off, I was like, so you calling yourself Lord, and the praise supposed to be all for you, but when you choke, you say, God damn. So who you talking to?
And the whole crowd, dude, they were like,
ah! They were like, it's like laughing, because it's like that's just funny. It's like, number one, he was choking. Number two, it's like, bro, really, like, who are you referring to? Yeah. And it's funny because I actually seen that interaction happen. I think within like another apologetic thing happening. It's like somebody that doesn't believe in God, but they'll use idioms or phrases like that, and it's like, wait, so when you use that phrase, what do you mean? It's like, oh no, don't you're picking it. I don't know. It's a valid question. I'm just asking a question. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was an interaction, but rebuttals like that happen quite often. The best rebuttaler you'll see is in our team as well. His name is A. Ward, white dude from Kansas City. This guy is amazing. As far as like the freestyle ability, the best out. Like there's like it's not even a thing of like, hey, he is top 5. Like people put him in the battle rap culture, battle rap world. They'll say he's one of the best rebuttalers ever to be in the game ever. Wow. And Christian as well. Yeah. So it's dope to be a part of such an amazing team of people who have made themselves submitted to the Lord. So, and we got some potential women, killing it in the game on behalf of the name of the Lord as well. So they're making their way in right now.
Yeah, is it largely male dominated, I would imagine, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As I wouldn't say the music industry is, but yes, it is dumb. So the hip hop industry, yes, it's harder for women to break through the industry in that sense, and so it kind of bears weight in the battle rap world too. So yes.
Do you have any reason why that is? Question just came to my mind. Like, well, why is hip hop rap so male dominated in general? I mean, have you thought through that, or do you haven't?
Oh yeah, we all understand so whenever you see a female lyricist, it's not the fact that they don't exist, they exist. It's just it typically bears weight that you want your woman who is a lyricist to be feminine or to be wearing the dress, to be, so it's either going to come with the hypersexualization or we're not going to accept you because you portray a butch, image, or portray like it's like you want your women to be. So the culture has always had an issue with accepting, whether it be the LGBTQ community or even women who just, are themselves, but in a sense are portraying to be less feminine in a sense with pop and rap. So the women who you do see that actually have great careers, typically are the ones who over sexualize themselves.
Okay.
And so it's always been a tough struggle within the hip hop community for sure.
Yeah.
Like anomalies are like a Lauryn Hill. That's an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't typically see somebody who is able to honor themselves,
Yeah.
honor their body, say, talk about things like sex,
Yeah.
and how it affects our culture on the song That Thing.
Yeah.
Guys, you always better watch out. Some girls are only about what? That one thing, that thing. That it's like, man, like
Huh.
I was growing up listening to that in my mom and dad's car. I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm looking back like, man, she was really talking about some stuff in our culture that, is not really being discussed in a hip hop sense. It's always about, hey, get it and go, smash, hit and quit it. You know what I'm saying? But she's like, no. We can't do this because we got to honor ourselves, honor our bodies. Our body's a temple, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's always been a question and struggle within the community, but there is a wonderful league called Queen of the Ring, where they actually it's a woman dominated league.
Okay.
And one of our Christian sisters is actually about to, like, she's already killing it over there. Her name is Prestavia, and she's doing an amazing job, representing Christ over there as well. So yeah, it's growing, man. It's growing.
Yeah, it's from an outsider perspective. It does, and I see some people say this out loud, but it does seem very almost misogynistic, or very like if a woman breaks in, she has to kind of represent kind of the extreme version of what a hypersexualized male wants her to be, like a Cardi B kind of example. It's like, man, I just don't know if this is empowering women as much as it's entertaining men. But is that a simplistic?
Some will argue that's along the same lines of almost any male-dominated industry.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, want you to be how we want you to be, and if you're not willing to submit to that, then we're not going to accept you. So it's you have people who have to go to the extreme in order to be accepted, they feel.
Yeah.
But there are exceptions to the rule that have shown that you don't need to do that. But of course, things like finances involved and families involved. It's like, what are you not willing to do?
It does seem like wide open space for the gospel, right? I mean, a Christian woman representing dignity and honor and respect in a way that reflects
Absolutely.
the Imago Dei, right? And isn't gonna cave into. So, but you mentioned, I mean, your sister, I forget her name. You just mentioned that stepped into.
So Prestavia, So Prestavia is she's a dope female MC. Like, when I tell you, she is amazing. Like, she's a wife to a husband, has children, and if you even hear her message, it's really about uplifting the queens around her. Now, she's gotten some slack from the culture because it's like, hey, you're saying you're a Christian, but then you'll also say, and use things like gun bars and stuff like that, and use bars with aggression. And to her reply, it's like, so you mean to tell me you gonna come up here and talk about how you gonna run in my house, shoot my kids, shoot up my house, and I can't defend myself? It's like, hey, like, yes, of course. Don't think you're gonna come to my house saying you're gonna do all this stuff and think I'm gonna just quote unquote turn the other cheek. You have a misrepresentation of what that scripture means. You know what I'm saying? Like Christians are called to defend themselves. So it's like, hey, like, I'm going to portray this part of the body as well, and this part of the Christian church, which is God conquering. Like you're not gonna sit here and just say what you're gonna do in the church, what you're gonna do to the church, and not expect us to retaliate in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Just because we're God's people doesn't mean peace doesn't come with the prospect of war as well. So she does a great job of representing that in a very satirical way, and a lot of times, but also in an entertaining way, to where the culture is able to understand and hear, and it's being.
Oh, you broke up a little bit. Are you there?
A lot of times, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's still breaking up?
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of times the culture will basically understand where we're coming from and why we're coming from, because they have an understanding of us and it's mutual. Like, in the same way, and I talked about this at the Axiom, it's like you never want to judge a culture from the outside.
Yeah.
When you judge a culture from the outside, you're not going to understand the language. you're not going to understand the reasonings of why they do the things they do if you don't have a personal relationship. So you have to first, number one, develop relationships, which I say starts with immersion. It's not just, hey, I went to a battle event and now I understand the culture. They're just a violent people. You went to one event. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't see us praying beforehand. You didn't see us praying for them. You didn't see us afterwards. We're going and having lunches and meals and talking about what it means to be a Christian, talking about what it means to honor ourselves and honor our wives and not be out there like, oh man, y'all finna go to the club after this. It's like, well, what type of club are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we're gonna withhold from that. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong to go. You know what I'm saying? Throw some ones real quick. It's like, no, actually, like I honor our sisters in such a way that I don't want to do that. You don't see that. You just see the YouTube click or the YouTube video or the viral. It's like, no. There is a culture here, and wherever there's culture, there is people. Wherever there's people, there's opportunity for the gospel. And so, no type of people group should be getting ostracized from the opportunity of hearing about the love of God. And so what we do is we go into the culture of battle rap and we just exemplify what it means to be believers in Christ.
Hold on, I got to timestamp that. That's going to be a good promo line right there. Which you just I almost want you to repeat that. That is. I mean, it's contextualizing the gospel, right? I mean, you read in the book of Acts, and Paul presents the gospel, Jewish audience, Greco-Roman audience, high caste, low caste. Like he understands the culture he's going into, and he doesn't change the gospel, but he does draw out. He does emphasize certain aspects that he knows is going to either resonate with or rebuke or get inside of his target audience. And so that's for somebody that's just like a white suburban upper middle class person. If you just drop them into your ministry context, they're not going to have a category for that. But I'm curious about that, actually. Do you get people that kind of misunderstand or judge you, or maybe just Christian battle rap in general, based on how you guys are reaching this culture? Because they don't have any kind of category for the context you're stepping into.
Oh, absolutely. So the how I actually got, so I'll tell you a little background on how I actually got invited to even speak at Axiom. One of my close friends, his name is Grant Skeldon. He actually works for Q now. Yeah. Really, really solid guy. We actually went to school. We met at DBU. We went to school together. And I invited him one time to come out to a battle I was doing. And so he came. He got there, and we have all types of stuff happening. We got people smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. We got people cursing. And then battles are happening. And then he's seeing all this, but he's also seeing in between. He's seeing beforehand. We circled up before the event started. We prayed for the event. Wow. We're literally in the midst of it, and everybody's seeing this. Some people that are battlers are joining us for prayer. Having beers. You know what I'm saying? Chopping it up with them, having conversations before and after. Grant left that. He hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, you're a friend of sinners," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I never thought like that. Like, aren't we all?" He said, "I don't think you realize a lot of people who are Christians in the church are not friends with people that are not." And I was like, "Really? Why were they reading?
What are we doing here, man?"
I'm like, man, like the hospitals for the sick. Like, is that not what we're supposed to be doing? Now, this isn't a diss. This isn't a, oh man, like, kick it up, y'all. It's like, man, if we're the ecclesia called out ones, we have to go out. We can't expect them to show up to our front door. Like, like that was the irony of even the concept of 9/11. The churches were filled because, like, oh snap, we are searching for an answer. Yeah. In time of tragedy, we need help. And so they went to the doorsteps. And then what the common trope was, they showed up on Sunday and didn't show up the next Sunday because they saw that, it was more like the world than they thought. It's like, man, like what? Now, of course, there's definitely some exaggerations about that, because most churches, I don't think are, obviously, I think the majority of churches are not teaching heresy, are not teaching, and not doing things that are intentionally damaging to the culture. But for me, it's one of those things where, yes, when somebody says they experienced church hurt, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that they got hurt, and a lot of times we can't look at someone's hurt and say, oh, well, it wasn't my intention, or that really wasn't that bad, because hurt is always relative and subjective to the person who received the blow. In the same way, if a child were to hit me on the shoulder you know, I'd be like, man, quit playing, you know. But if he was to hit a child with that same force, the other child will start crying. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
he hit me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I can't say, yo, that didn't hurt. Like
Yeah.
I can't say that to that child. It's like, no, that hurt me. So, and this isn't a conversation of like, okay, well, who is more strong or less strong? It's
Right.
really a conversation of acknowledging and affirming somebody in their pain so that we can understand why, what, and how not to make that happen again.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times we hear the word church hurt, and it can be almost discrediting to a lot of people. It's like, oh, well, you know, everybody has church. It's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Let's listen to why they have their hurt, and then see if there's anything we can do to adjust the impact
Yeah.
and the actual aspect of the blow. Because a lot of times you can be hurt, you know, but also understand that, man, maybe it wasn't you that hurt me directly, but it was something within my own past that, like, maybe I already had a bruise and you
Yeah.
just touched it, and it's like, wait, man, that hurt. It's like, wait, I didn't even realize I touched you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was actually just embracing you and giving you a hug. I didn't know you had a former bruise there,
Yeah.
you know? And so because of that, what I'm seeing within the battle rap community is they're actually embracing us in a way that's like, man, I've experienced church my whole life. I grew up in church, but I never got to experience what y'all are offering,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah.
And I've never got to see church done in a way that they actually meet us where we're at,
Wow.
you know? And for them to say like, oh man, hey, we're about to go have a beer, man. I know you can't go do this. I'm like, I have a beer
Yeah.
with you guys. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with the beer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go out there and get drunk.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I'll meet you where you're at, man. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a limit to what you're gonna say that I'm gonna say yes and no to.
Right.
But bro, like understand, man. Like this isn't about the restrictions of Christianity. This is about the liberty of Christianity and understanding that within liberty there are boundaries. You know, and those boundaries are there for love and protection and understanding that God actually cares about us and our well-being. So yes, there are things that I will restrain from because my well-being is cared for and who is the carer of me.
Yeah.
But also understand, like, I'm about liberty. I'm about expressing the freedom I have in Christ.
Mhm.
You know, so it's definitely one of the things where it's been a joy to see the reaction of, you know, what it means to be in and not of
Yeah.
a culture.
Do you have kind of top 3 or 4 beautiful gospel moments in your battle rap ministry that you can maybe pick 1 or 2 and describe? Or?
Yeah, I'll say one. One of the ones. So my very first battle I went to, there was a guy named Leo, and there's some battles of him, you know, up to this day. Leo the Lion, Leo versus this guy Lio, and when I first did my first battle, he was outside, you know, chilling with some guys, smoking, stuff like that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, what's up, man? What you got going?" I was like, "Man, I got a battle." He was like, "Oh, you battling?" You know, I'm in here with the backpack, you know, chilling, got my glasses on, you know, and they're like, "It's like, what's your name?" I said, "Street Hymns." I said, "Street Hymns?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Street Hymns." He's like, "Are you a Christian rapper?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a Christian rapper, man." They were like, they started laughing. You know, Leo's laughing. He responds. He said, "Man, I believe in God, but man, I ain't with all that Christian stuff."
Huh.
You know,
Wow.
and that was his response. You know, fast forward a little bit, you know, me and Leo developed a really, really close relationship after that battle. And, you know, to the point where whenever he has a battle, he's calling me, letting me hear his bars. I'm calling him, letting him hear my bars. Like, hey, man, you got to hear what I got for this next guy. You got to, you know, and we develop a camaraderie,
Huh.
you know, to where I invite him to church. He shows up, you know, we start hanging out more often. Getting meals together, talking about future plans, future things in the battle rap world. And then through that, you know, just developing a camaraderie and a friendship, he also got to be exposed to my life, you know, seeing what I do in youth ministry.
Mhm.
At the time, I literally moved to the hood, which was in South Dallas, South Oak Cliff, which was like one of the most impoverished and non-educated aspects and realms of Dallas.
Mhm.
I moved there intentionally for the purpose of mentoring and discipling the youth there.
Wow.
And so when he was seeing that, he's like, yo, like, why'd you go and do that? I said, bro, because I care about my community and I want to love like Christ, you know? And I remember a time I was on Snapchat and he was like, yo, I just wanted to tell you, bro, like, after seeing what you did, I actually rejoined my church, and now I'm actually seeking to be one of the youth leaders there,
Wow.
and teaching them and teaching the young men. He rejoined his men's group in his church as well, and just to like he literally was like proclaiming Christ again.
Wow.
You know, he went from not proclaiming Christ to proclaiming Christ. Crazy ending. You know, basically. I was going to attend one of his battles he had. He had a battle on Saturday. It was the Friday where I found out that Friday morning he passed away in his sleep. And so when he never got to do the battle. I never got to actually hear his bars either. But it was interesting when we went to the funeral, you know, hearing how his church community talked about him. It was one thing of, for a while he was gone, but he became our prodigal son. Like he strayed, he came back, and he was actively back involved in the church, actively back involved with the choir, the praise team, and then help him out with the youth. Now, I'm not saying that it was a moment where I said, hey, Leo, do you want to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Hey, do you want to? But to know that I was at least a catalyst or involved in the message of him understanding and seeing the gospel in a way that he probably wasn't familiar with, or was familiar with but wanted to go back to his first love but had an internal struggle, was humbling and beautiful to know that I was a part of a gospel opportunity within the battle rap culture directly, you know. And I only shared that story because I know Leo was proud of that story. There are also other times that things happen, but we never want to make it to be like, yo, we're doing this for the purpose of compiling up stories and saying, hey, I remember when you prayed to me when you were thinking about ending your life, or hey, remember when you prayed to me when you needed some money, and it's like no, we don't want to make that the thing. We don't want to highlight the good that we do, because we never want them to feel like they're projects. We never want them to feel like hey, you know, here's the little bald African child I'm taking a picture with in order to get some likes on Facebook. No. We're not doing that. We're literally there for the purpose of love. And when you love something so much, you don't keep track of time and you don't take pictures. Yeah. It's just you're so involved in the moment. And so like there are stories that I could share endlessly. And but it's one of those things where like it's more so for the moment, you know, and I enjoy it in the moment. But I honor Leo so much, and I admonish him as a brother so much that I love getting the opportunity to tell his story specifically.
Well, it sounds like the gospel. I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo on mine. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's so highly relational, given the culture, the nature of what you do, the real like intimacy you have with other people. I mean, I like the video I saw and others, like you're physically all up in each other's business. There's people standing right there. Like it's just such a highly relational, it seems like, way of presenting the gospel. You're not on some stage speaking to somebody who's receiving whatever, and you may never see them. Although obviously the social media influence and stuff, I'm sure there's impact far beyond what you even recognize. But, yeah, that's, gosh, if you're not a friend of sinners, you know, following the way Jesus went about things, I don't think you're probably not going to be very effective as a Christian witness in your area.
Absolutely. And I even say, you know, it's harder to understand the mission only looking at what's done on the stage. You know, and that's Grant actually wrote a book, you know, to millennials, and about millennials, and he actually mentioned me in the book. But it was because he understood of what was going on outside, you know, of what just I do in the battle rap realm. It's really just based on and in my heart for the community. Like, I'm able to portray lyricism, entertainment, because it's for the crowd, it's for the audience in the now. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the same way, if somebody's hungry, you know, before we start talking about the love of God, feed them. Yeah. What do they want? What do they need? You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to be entertained. They want camaraderie. They want community. Cool. Yeah. And then from there, now I have your ear and I have your heart. You know, so your heart softened up to the message, and you understand. And it starts with relationships. And the thing is, we have to engage people the way they need to be engaged with, and the way that in context they can understand. Jesus didn't go there talking about the kingdom in a way that farmers wouldn't understand. He used what? The parables of seeds.
Mm-hmm.
You may not understand the parable, but you get the concept of what a seed does, and knowing where and how to sow a seed, things that they could directly relate to in the material, so they could get the metaphysical and the spiritual. So in the same way, that's what we do in the culture. So yes, there's moments where we're all in each other's stuff. We're like, face to face. It's like, we got the whole persona going, the aggression, the passion. But all that is for the audience, for the battler, for ourselves. The real work is being done behind the scenes.
Yeah. Your camera, you keep sinking. I don't know if it looks like you're in quicksand or something. You're slowly getting low.
Yeah. I noticed that. I was like,
I was like, don't disappear, Street. So you mentioned at the very beginning that you have a theological degree. You have a deep personal interest in theology, philosophy, ethics. Can you tell us just a bit about your intellectual journey and like, were you raised as a Christian? What kind of, are you part of a denomination, or what are you reading these days?
Oh man, I read a lot of anime. I read a lot of manga, and I watch a lot of anime.
I don't even know what that is. I mean, I kind of vaguely know what anime is, but
yeah, anime. And so manga is the booklet version of an anime.
Okay.
Anime is basically the animation aspect of a Japanese animation.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
more commonly ones like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, things like that. And of course, like, to ask a question about theology and then me respond with anime is like, what in the world are you talking about? But it's in the same way people who enjoy, like, I don't just watch movies. Like, I really look at movies, and because art is the expression of the philosophers of today. I feel like artists are the philosophers of today, addressing things like, it is taboo to talk about LGBTQ community in a neutral or negative way.
Uh-huh.
Yet, here you have someone like Dave Chappelle being able to do so in an entertaining way, and also tackling things. It's like, should we be thinking like this? Or have we ever thought about this?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like, man, Dave, like, you made us laugh about something that we all are scared to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is able to do these things? The artists, the entertainers.
Yeah.
Because art has no bounds. So when you look at what you listen to, what's being put on the television screens, what's being put into music, this is where I kind of have the mindset of, all right, bet I get to see how you're viewing the world in a way that the world might even say, that's a little too far, but you're doing it in an abstract way. I'm getting what you're talking about, the underlying thing. So like, a lot of times, even things I say, I'm a very abstract person. So I appreciate abstract art in the form of the physical, things like Jackson Pollock, even abstract art to the sense of the lyrical. Having multiple layers behind one thing that was said, entendres, So my intellectual journey, I definitely was raised Christian. My mother and father are both believers, raised in a Christian home. I was a cubby, went to Awana, the VBS, was in the praise team at a young age. I went to Christian sports camp, directly went from the Christian sports camp called Kids Across America. I did that for 10 years. And then I went and taught at that same camp for 7 summers. I worked in the youth ministry before that as well. And I did that because I saw my father do it as well, and so the beginning stages of Christian hip hop, actually, I was there as a child being able to see it. And so a lot of the forefathers of Christian hip hop are my direct role models. They were literally, before fame was even associated to the art form, or fame was even associated to the musicality of Christian hip hop, they were on the streets. They were literally going to church by church, but also street by street corners, putting the stereo up in there, playing basketball, and then afterwards freestyling, having people come up. You're not really freestyling. You say I'm not freestyling, but I'm representing Christ. I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? It's like people like, yo, like, these guys is kind of cold. Like, what's this message you were talking about? You're not talking about drugs and selling drugs and, you know what I'm saying, hitting down shawties and, you know what I'm saying? Like you have a different message of what you're doing. And so I grew up seeing that. And then after they go do the shows, do the concerts, they're back home debating Calvinism and Arminianism. They're
Yeah.
back home debating the concept of the hypostatic union, breaking down these topics and things. I'm like, I'm seeing this every day of my life, and so like that was my upbringing, seeing intellectuals chop down theology, seeing intellectuals and black men at that, black intellectuals talk about theology in a way that's like, man, like I don't know, have no idea what they're talking about, but as a child, just to see them get passionate and kind of get the aggression of like, man, how could you? Did you not read? Did you? And then they have all this, and I'm like, what are they talking about? But they're passionate about it, and so that passion just was passed down to me, And so like when it came to theology, like my first thing was like, I want to go to Bible college because my role models went to Bible college. First thing I did, I went to Bible college. I double majored in biblical studies and vocal performance because I also love choir. I was in choir from junior high up until my freshman year in college. And then I went to a school called, at the time, Philadelphia Biblical University in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And then I transferred from there to a community college, from the community college to DBU, and that's where I graduated. Okay. So the intellectual journey is that of just skeptic. My skepticism has actually brought me closer to Christ. Yeah. And through my skepticism, just understanding what apologetics was, because the original Christian rappers, Cross Movement, that's the name of the group, and one of the lead guys there, his name was Ambassador. These were the original battle rappers, as Christian battle rappers, because they literally were talking and sounding like the culture, but they were doing so in a way and representing Christ. One of my favorite works is by Ambassador. It's called Christology in Layman's Terms. And it's just a beautiful piece of work. You see his mindset as a person who has a master's in theology be able to be broken down in a lyrical way. It's actually called lyrical theology, as Shai Linne, another Christian rapper, noted it to be put in such a way that like this is literally what I'm listening to as I'm walking down the hallways in high school. So wow. My intellectual journey is that of somebody who has been able to see Black Christian men highlight theology, hip hop, and also fatherhood in such an amazing way.
Do you have any favorite like intellectual / creative heroes, role models, people that you have kind of shaped your life or patterned your life after, or is it a whole array of different? Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite, Lupe Fiasco. He's a secular artist, Muslim, rapper, and he was the first person I saw as a nerd within the hip hop culture. I'm a very nerdy person. So like him wearing glasses, him talking about anime, talking about Street Fighter within his raps. I'm like, yo, who's doing this? Like, I've never seen this before. Like, he's comfortable in who he is. And so like hearing him do triple entendres and quadruple entendres, I'm like, yo, this is different. And so like one of the things I do within hip hop now, I actually try to exemplify like what I've learned through Lupe and just studying him and his art form. So I've done quadruple entendres while in battles. I've done quintuple entendres, and one time I did a sextuple entendre, while in the battle rap.
Can you explain what that is? Can you explain what that is? Like a double entendre, quadruple entendre?
Yeah, so double entendres are more common because, and not to downplay, they're easier. But the double entendre is basically saying one thing that means two things. So think of an example. Like right now, I'm not wearing a hat, but if I said I was wearing a hat, that was all cap. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, bet, you're wearing a hat, but me saying I'm wearing a hat, that's all cap. It's like, it's all cap. It's not the truth, and it's all cap. It's like, okay, bet, it's not a cap. So like, yeah, it's like a double entendre.
So you can have a quadruple, or even you said six different meanings in one word. That's crazy.
Yeah. So a way to make that a triple is like if I typed it out and I left the shift key on, I could say, oh, well, what I just said was actually in all cap. You know what I'm saying? So now it's all
Right.
caps. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, so it's like you keep layering it. So one thing I said meant six different things.
Huh.
And that's a bad example, but you get the
No, no,
concept.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. So it
yes,
invites the listener slash reader, I guess more listener watcher, to really think deeply, right? I mean, because you really
I
get it, you got to sit there and ponder that. Like, whoa, did he just wait? What? Like, you're
yeah,
inviting
yeah,
people
yeah.
into the art form.
Yeah, and I'm out of all of the people in my teammate, I'm literally the least known, and people say because they don't understand me,
Huh.
So I've done a better job of like putting things in layman's terms, but because I love intellectuals and I
Mhm.
love being able to exemplify lyricism in a way that's never been said before.
Okay.
I love pushing the envelope. I take risks a lot, within battle rap. And so like people who get it and people who love to search, they love what I do. Other people
Yeah.
just like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And they're just, it's like it's just like, we don't want to hear nerd bars. We don't want to hear about how you're a virgin in battle rap. Like, yo, man, leave. What are you doing? You know, so it's definitely something where, seeing people like Lupe Fiasco do that, just like it's
Mhm.
beautiful. Tony Evans,
Hmm.
definitely another intellectual that storytelling ability
Hmm.
is just beautiful. C.S. Lewis,
Mhm.
his way to create worlds in an abstract way and exemplify what it means to uh, be Christian and yet be loved by the world in your art.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
like
Hmm.
nobody ever says, "Oh, I don't like Chronicles of Narnia." Like
Right.
everybody loves Chronicles of Narnia, but like you also understand, oh yeah, it's Christian work. And it's like, man, like he created an entire world in reality that is not essentially Christian.
Mhm.
Like he has talking animals and but like he pushes the aspect of what is faith and what is the imagination.
Yeah.
And then you see his other works like Mere Christianity or the Screw Tape Letters. It's like, man, you're getting now the more in-depth theological perspectives of things that he's talking about. Dr. Seuss, another role model of mine,
Hmm.
somebody who tells you that if if your children's book cannot be enjoyed by an adult, you didn't write a great children's book.
Hmm.
How are we reaching the next generation? That's in the next generation, and sowing seeds into the next generation is really really big to me. So like I can say all entendres I want, but if I'm not able to translate to the audience in front of me, then I'm doing a bad job.
Hmm.
And so for me, being that I desire to raise up and train the next generation, people like Dr. Seuss, saying things that he said and how he said it definitely were very impactful,
Hmm.
in like my understanding of the world. And, my list of people who inspire me is it
Yeah.
goes on and on. But
It
yeah,
it sounds
George
like, I mean,
Washington Carver, another one.
who's that? George Washington
George
Carver?
Washington Carver. Yeah. Another one is, yeah, he's a role model.
Why
Like,
him?
oh man, literally,
I mean, he semes pretty I don't know genius literally, but
oh
incredibly
yeah, yeah,
brilliant. And
yeah, yeah. So if it's funny if you look at his quotes aside from the peanut and the sweet potato, which people know him for,
yeah.
the father of the peanut, which he has over 300 inventions that he did through that.
Wow.
He patented zero of them.
Huh.
His mindset was, I don't see how I can charge you for something that is God's creation.
Wow.
And so, of course, other people have now patented these things and taken what he's done. And typically you think, oh, we need a lawsuit. It's like, no, 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 no. His perspective is, I gave to the world.
Wow.
We needed more. I saw a need and I fulfilled the need. And he tells you in some quotes like, man, if you want to see the beauty of God, just go outside.
Huh.
You know, look around you, look at the wind, look at the breeze, look at the trees. And he spoke in a way that was reminiscent of the Messiah. I heard one of my favorite disciples. His name is we call him Soup, Soup Campbell, and one of the things he talks about is the perspective of, if you ask anybody in the Western world, it's like and this is not a diss. It's like, okay, but if I asked you, describe God in 3 words,
Mhm.
I'm like me asking you, like, describe God in three
Oh,
words.
powerful, loving, in charge, sovereign. Yeah.
Exactly. Powerful, in charge, all things that are true.
Yeah.
If you go to the Eastern world or like places like Africa, they use material. Like we use in the Western world metaphysical concepts,
Yeah. Yeah.
things that have to be thought up here.
Yeah.
They use rock,
Huh.
water, river,
Which is very biblical,
sun.
right? There's so much material imagery used to describe God.
To even mention God's scripture as a Hebrew boy, you'd have to have some honey and taste it so you understand that God's word is sweet.
Yeah. Huh.
And these material concepts, to understand God in the material and then translate that to the metaphysical and the spiritual, was always something that God was doing, because to understand him is holistic, like our mind, body, and spirit. Love the Lord God or your heart, soul, mind, and strength. There's a physical attribute to that, to where one of the most beautiful concepts we can even partake in when dealing with the Christ is what?
Yeah.
Communion.
Yeah.
Which involves what? The physical attributes of, okay, bet I'm consuming the goodness and the sacrifice.
Huh.
Before we consume the sacrifice in Passover, now we're consuming the sacrifice in communion, in remembrance of him.
Well, that's why Eastern, from what I hear, Eastern Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, or just Eastern Christian gatherings engage all five senses.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Oh,
where you're kind of
go.
low church Western is like your intellect and if it's more of a charismatic, your emotions or whatever, but like your sense of smell isn't engaged. We don't have a category. Like I went to church and my sense of smell wasn't engaged, and for us it's not even, we don't even raise that question. I think if an Eastern person came to our gatherings and said, I didn't touch or smell anything, like what my physical, I feel like
incense?
I'm unfilled,
Yeah. And it's crazy because I actually went to this retreat and we talked about how Christianity shaped how Africa shaped the Christian mind.
Yeah.
It was a book written by a guy named Thomas C. Oden.
Yeah.
We had a family called the Amasons host us. Roberta. Roberta
Roberta and
Amason.
Howard.
Yeah, it's a good friend of mine, man. I'm actually supposed to do a review for her tonight. We actually did a podcast as well. But yeah, so they hosted us and we basically just talked about how Africa shaped the Christian mind. And she was like, man, I was in Africa, and before we even did a exorcism that they were doing, which happens quite often in Africa, they lit sage and they walked around the building. Now, mind you, the lighting of sage in America in the Christian world is like, hey, don't light sage because that's a little too spiritual, but it's a neo spiritual or like in ways it's like, hey, don't cross the lines, but what would it mean to see somebody in a church pour oil on someone's head? And make a cross on somebody's forehead or do things like, for you to receive gifts, we're laying hands on you. It's like you don't see these things because it's like you don't want to cross the line of being too spiritual and too metaphysical to where it's like, hey, you don't want to go pagan. But when we actually have the guidelines of what that means, Leviticus is all about making sure you're not involved in these pagan rituals and how not to be involved in these pagan rituals, and the separation from, hey, you're coming out of Egypt. I understand you learn these things over here, but we got some reteaching to do. We got to train you and let you know, hey, we're not going to do this, and this is what we're going to partake in because we serve the Most High God. We don't serve these other deities that they worship. And so it's one thing I feel like the church possibly will start to, especially in the Western world, will either continue to ignore or at least say, man, maybe we need to expand our thought and don't just view this as a Western religion.
Yeah. We
have to look at the roots. Where did it start? Where did it begin? And what are things that we are possibly overlooking within the scriptures themselves? And I think that that's something that it's beautiful because when I talk about, like, going back to the root of this is George Washington Carver, somebody who literally is a great example of what it means to be somebody who captures the material and then translates it to spiritual. He spoke a lot like Jesus, and I just love that about him. If you
That's
actually
good.
like look at his quotes and read his readings, writings and stuff. So
It sounds like, so I originally asked you about your intellectual journey. For you, if I can make an observation for you, that your intellectual and creativity journey are just, they're one and the same. Like,
yeah,
most people when asked their intellectual journey, they're like, well, they might, they might actually start with C.S. Lewis and N.T. Wright, or, I don't know, who their favorite kind of systematic theologian or whatever. And it's very much cognitive. And then I would also have to ask, tell me about your creative journey. And then they might, for you, I asked you an intellectual question. You answered with mostly creativity, because it sounds like for you that's good creativity is intellectual, and you can't separate these two. Is that? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that?
Oh, bro. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
In creation, he has a thought, and through his thought, he creates.
Yeah.
And so like and we are what? The image of the creator, the image of God. And being in his image, what are we to do? Create.
Yeah.
And so like I went to a Axiom retreat led by Q, and I was talking to one of the older men there. He was just, he's like, yo, I really respect you creatives. I was like, us what? And he's like, creatives. I said, sir, what do you do? He's like, oh, I just, and he's downplaying it, definitely multi-million-dollar company he's helping run. He's like, I hire people, and basically, incorporate systems for people to strive in. And he's like, I said, oh, you create systems?
Huh.
I said, you're a creative, sir.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a creative? I said, yes. I said, we think of the word creative and then make it artistic.
Yeah.
Yet being a creative is somebody who creates.
Yeah.
We all desire to be like our daddy.
Yeah.
We all want to create, but we have to redefine and reignite what it means to be a creative.
Yeah.
Because once we all understand that we're all creating together, we are able to be the body.
Yeah.
And you don't view somebody else's creation and say, oh, well, you didn't make an album, you didn't make an art piece. It's like, no, you created an entire system, an organization, a company.
Yeah.
You created opportunities.
Yeah.
You created a cake. You know what I'm saying? Like it's we have to redefine what it means to create. And so when I think about intellect and like the expression of what I believe, it's through my creation.
Yeah.
And I think that's for everyone. Because to me, yes, the great observation, they are one and the same. We
need more of that, man, in mainstream evangelicalism. As a writer, I feel like in the last maybe 10 years or so, like 10 years ago, I probably would have said like, yeah, I'm not a creator. I'm an intellect. I write religious nonfiction, not creative books. But then early on, I just fell in love with the creativity of language, and equally fell disenchanted with non-imaginative nonfiction. So even now, like I'll read a book and I might agree with many of the concepts. They might actually present factual information, but if it's not creative, even in the language they use, if they're not working to use certain verbs that draw out the meaning of what they're trying to say in a creative, powerful, impactful way, if they're just using lazy, predictable metaphors and not using a thesaurus, like just not trying to, because you could say the same thing 50 different ways, but there's that one verb, or don't add too many adverbs because that's going to water down get a good creative verb that's different but not too different. You don't want to draw too much attention to the verb. It'll distract away from your point. But don't be lazy. Don't use a lazy metaphor that, and I say this as a goal I'm trying to aspire to, not something I naturally do. But people ask me, I'll read a book and I might agree with a lot of stuff, and they'll say, how was that book? I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, well, wasn't it good? I'm like, well, it wasn't very. I agree, yeah, it was good. Information was accurate and everything, but it just didn't engage the rest of my being, in a way that I think it could have. And
battle rap is literally the same way.
Yeah,
it's literally the same way. It's like there are people who say, yeah, you said, hey, I'm a great MC, but you didn't say it in a way that was like, man, I've never heard somebody say it like that.
Yeah,
and it's not the fact you gave any new information.
Right.
it's not about new information. It's, hey, within the context and the culture of today, what does it mean to be a great MC? And then when you're able to say that in a way that translates beyond just, hey, I said it, but I said it in a way that had alliteration, similes, metaphors, nostalgia. You know, you brought back a memory. You brought back something that, man, I remember having that moment of this person saying this. And when you compared yourself to that person and then also correlated that to where I was in my life when I heard this, and it brought me back to that moment, that's all something that is, it shows you that you care about what you wrote so much, and you put your heart in it. And I feel like a lot of what is being created right now is being created for the purpose of just to be seen and just to be admonished, rather than passion, heart, and everything that you have in your being put into it. And that takes time, and it takes, biggest word, vulnerability, you know. And so a lot of people aren't being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like the dope works from the church that I'm seeing today aren't coming from the intellectuals. It's coming from the people who don't have degrees, don't have PhDs, these pastors that are literally just translating and reaching a Gen Z, because they're just like, yo, I'm going to say something that you probably never heard in church before. Now, mind you, I'm not listening. I don't wake up like I wake up and listen to sermons. Like that's something I do on a regular. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoy being stimulated mentally. You know what I'm saying? And it translates spiritually, and it helps me and gets my day started. You know what I'm saying? Hearing someone address the word and talk about the word. But like, I'm not listening to those guys, but I understand why this next generation is tuning into them, because they're like, we as a church have put a lot of emphasis on teaching. But that's only one pillar we're supposed to of the ministry. It's like fellowship, community, you know, discipleship, serving, worship. And it's like, hey, but when you go to a new church, what's the first thing? It's like, oh, I got to make sure the teaching is good. It's like, okay, well, you can get teaching anywhere.
Yeah.
Not to diss, but you can literally wake up in the morning, and I can be in your service and then tune into another service at that same exact moment.
Yeah.
What's happening when the church doors are closing? Are you then therefore going out and having a meal with the same people you just enjoyed the word with?
Yeah.
Are you being discipled by somebody in that community that's telling you, hey, this is what it means to do life on life? Are you then also there and going and serving the community so that they're able to know who y'all are and say, hey, how can we fulfill a need that is lacking within this community of people? You know, but we make something so about the psyche and what it means to learn more and gain more. And it's like, yo, like, we're going to lose out on ministry if we make this about teaching, because what happens is when you see someone has a lack of teaching, instead of saying, hey, I want to fulfill the need that you have immediately, it's like, no, I got to give you information. You need information. It's like, oh, snap, you believe this? You need information. So you debate for hours on Facebook.
Yeah.
Rather than, I wonder why you believe that.
Yeah.
You truly believe that? Man, I want to hang out with you and find out more about your life to understand the root of this.
Yeah.
Because this is bigger than just we came up in the age of information.
Yeah.
We all have it. Now we have to apply the information we have, because me saying something, you've heard my rebuttal already.
Yeah.
But if you actually hear the heart, one of the things that was so crazy about this last year when the racial tensions were happening, it was interesting that before even like things like George Floyd happened, you know, there was, I believe it's Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
What was interesting about that was I saw the white community say, yo, I've seen a lot of things happen, but this is blatantly wrong. Now, this isn't to say that things before weren't blatantly wrong, but why did that one hit home? Because Ahmaud Arbery was doing what? Running. What community is known for just getting up and then running in the community?
Yeah.
The white community. That's something that y'all can relate to. It's like, man, I've gone on morning runs.
Yeah.
I've never had to threaten or feel threatened for my life.
Yeah.
Ever. And so you were able to empathize on a level that's like, wait, all he did was run?
Yeah.
And so that led and sparked something like, man, I could never imagine the feeling of being afraid on a run.
Yeah.
We don't have have the luxury when you grow up in the hood to just feel like, oh, I'm about to go outside and run, because you don't know what the dangers are lurking. So like, there's a lack of empathy, but you're able to empathize when there is relation and you can say, man, I've actually seen this.
Yeah.
And so information is something that we have an overload of. We need relationships and empathy. We need to be able to say, aside from me just saying this and giving you more of this, and no. Let me have lunch with you. Let me have dinner with your family in the context not, hey, come over here where it's safe and then we'll have, no, let me go meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
Let's actually immerse each other. Like, immersion is so big to me because immersion leads to relationships lead to hearts, and hearts lead to the gospel. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like rather than more information, we need more relationships. We need more empathy. We need more immersion.
Yeah, man, that's so good. And I've been learning that as I've thought through and tried to absorb the racial conversation. I've lots of conversations on the podcast about that. That's probably been the number one thing that stood out to me, is that over and over, a lot of people are saying exactly what you're saying, that especially generally speaking, the white community, including myself, is very information data driven. And the people of color I've talked to on the podcast in particular, Tyler Burns is the first one to point this out, that like, in the black community, we don't lead with the data, the information. We lead with the relationship, the emotion. How this event, rather than saying what are the facts surrounding this event, and again, I've been guilty of kind of leading with that. We asked the question, well, how did that feel? Have I listened to the story? What's the symbolic power of this visual, regardless of who's guilty, who did what, who did something wrong? And even with the Ahmaud Arbery case, another factor, I think you'll agree, is the fact that it wasn't a cop, because it's two rednecks in a pickup truck, and the white community, if they see a cop and a black person and a cop, their just assumption is, well, he's a criminal, something he did wrong. And they could still maybe get to a point of empathizing, well, maybe the cop went too far, whatever, but it's still within this framework of he's a criminal, cops are good guys, this is probably a bad guy because he's a cop, right?
Yeah.
And in the black community, I'm going to guess it's probably, that might not be the leading assumption.
Yeah.
If he's a cop, he's, obviously the good guy, another guy's the bad guy.
Yeah, and it's interesting, man. Like, I didn't have a disdain for cops. I never did growing up.
Yeah.
I just understood my dad had to talk with me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'd rather you come home than you be right. So just listen and do what they say. Comply. You know what I'm saying? So I never had a direct anger towards cops. It wasn't until I actually moved to the hood that I actually felt a little bit. I'm like, man, I'm there for doing ministry.
Wow.
And for me to be literally, after working there, waking up in the morning, working from 11 to 2, and then clocking back in at 4 to 7, then going to drive Lyft so I can have enough money because I'm not getting paid much by the ministry, and then get back home at 10 o'clock and just want to be outside and just, saying, watch battle rap videos in my own comfort. They're like, hey, I'm getting a knock on my window, with the flashlight of a guy saying, hey, go inside because it's curfew. Our community had a curfew. And I'm like, yo, I just got here. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, either you go inside. He's like, he had his hand on his gun.
Oh my God.
I'm like, yo, what are you, like, what I'm saying? Same people that will, as a tow company comes in, they're walking around with these big guns and saying, hey, we'll help you tow the community. And I'm like, man, like literally all because I backed in, I got to get towed and you're going to help him do that rather than, hey, you can come. It wasn't any desire to be relational. It was just like fear. Like it was instituted and so like I of course I don't view all cops this way. I don't view all people this way. But like in the same way, I if you don't know somebody, you don't just give them your wallet and say, hey, I trust you. It's like I don't have a trust for somebody I don't know.
Yeah. And
so like because I don't know any, like I treat cops like I treat people. I will love you, I will respect you, but I don't trust you. I don't think like I never think respect should be earned. That's not something that I was taught growing up. It's like, oh, you got to earn my respect. No. Everyone deserves your respect. Trust is something that I was told should be earned. And so like I respect all people, but I don't trust all people. And so like I get why there is a disdain from the Black community with things like law enforcement that work in the hoods that they never grew up in, because there is a lack of empathy and relationship.
Yeah.
So like I said, it really comes down to just, being able to, get to a place where it's like, man, am I willing to immerse myself in a culture? If not, that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's not the culture you're called to go to. But then do not, therefore, place your ideologies on that culture when you do not understand it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. Don't therefore say, well, y'all should be doing this. It's like, would you let me walk into your household and say you should be parenting your children this way? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because like, no, you don't understand what I'm doing. You don't understand what I'm doing after this, before this, during this, when I'm waking up, making sure. It's like, no, in the same way, you're talking about somebody else's household, their culture. They've built this. And you're now saying what they should and shouldn't do based on what your experience was. How about you go empathize before you go and, judge?
That's good. Yeah, thank you for that, man. That's if I can speak on behalf of at least some in white evangelicalism, we're slowly, I think we're starting to see that. And it's not that data and information isn't important, I don't think, but it's that where's your first go-to, and are you leading with empathy, listening, relation? And this is something I've tried to learn by listening to the LGBT community, coming at it with a conservative Christian background or whatever. But man, when I started listening, that's when my whole paradigm was just undone, because I'm like, gosh, let's just set aside the theological argument just for the time being, and just absorb the story and sit in somebody's shoes for a little bit, and not even ask the question, is this right? Is this wrong? Because this is a person. This is somebody created in God's image. This is a story. And you brought up a point earlier that like everybody's journey and how they deal with hardship, it looks different, and sometimes, going back, you gave the illustration of, you give someone a hug and maybe they freak out and what are you trying to do to me? It's like, well, maybe they're abused by their father. Maybe there's a whole history of stuff that has just been buried, and they're calloused over with all kinds of pain and junk, and certain things might trigger that legitimate pain that, somebody else maybe didn't go through. So they might not understand it, but you don't understand that the nuances of somebody else's pain or journey until you understand their story and their journey. Yeah. Well, man, hey, I've taken you a long time, so I'm going to let you go.
No, you're good. I enjoyed all this, bro.
Good, me too, man. I could keep going. I just looked at the time. I'm like, dang, I took you over. How can people find out more about you? I mean, obviously TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Tell us where people can find you.
Street Hymns, HYMNS. So at Street Hymns, everything. You can reach me on there, follow me on there. If you want to see in the battles, look up Street Hymns Verses, and then things will pop up as well. Just be on the lookout for more content, music, comedy, and I'm also writing a manga myself, so that's awesome. Coming out pretty soon as well. Cool. But yeah, you can find me in all those, and we can go from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care.
Peace.